Hey everybody, here's how you should practice with a drone and how you shouldn't practice with a drone. First things first, a drone is a app or a computer program that runs one note and just holds it. But the reason we use a drone to practice our intonation instead of just using the tuner feature, which tells you what if you're sharp or flat visually, is because you have to use your ears when you listen to a drone. And if you're using your ears when you play with other musicians, it would make sense to practice with a drone rather than look at the tuner app telling us. So what I'm going to do is that I'm going to put it on G, and I'm going to play my G major scale so I can hear how all of the intervals sound against that G. So one thing that's important about playing with a drone is that you actually practice slowly enough that your ears can hear the interval and adjust. So what I just did was I played a 3-octave G major scale, and if a note was out of tune or I felt not very confident in my left hand moving to that note, I repeated that note, or I would make the shift again. As if you go fast, it totally defeats the purpose because you don't actually give your ears any chance to fix what you're doing wrong. Drones are also useful for passages of music that stay on a particular chord, or maybe you're shifting to a particular note and you want to make sure that you have a good reference pitch for that note, right? So if I want to shift to the A up in thumb position, I can put my drone on A and then I can shift to it from any other note. Drone's on A, and I'm going to shift for my C natural here. Right, and I overshot it and then I recorrected, right? So I want to work on that. Some drones even have the ability to hold multiple notes at the same time. So if you're playing a passage that maybe is a diminished chord or something, then maybe you don't really want to put the drone just on one note, and it would be more helpful to hear more of the chord. So I'm going to set the drone to be on an A diminished chord here. So drones are an important part of learning how to play in tune. They train your ears and allow your ears to influence what your hands are doing. Or if you're a horn player, maybe your mouth, or I don't know, brass instruments or anything. But as a string player, as an unfretted string player, intonation is one of the main challenges. And responding to what we hear is obviously a critical part of being a musician. If you point your bell, calling out the woodwind players, at the tuner, and you look at what the tuner is telling you and you're not paying attention to what you hear in the section, even if the tuner says you're right, you are part of the problem. It's very important that we listen and respond, because if I'm playing with you and you're out of tune, I'm going to be just as out of tune as you so that we sound like we're in tune together, because intonation is a relative thing, and if we line up our pitch, that's actually what's going to make us sound the most in tune, because we have to be in tune with something. And if you're looking at the tuner and the tuner's not producing a sound, you're not actually in tune with anything in that moment, okay? So we're training our ears to adapt to a second sound source. It's not about 440s in tune and 442s out of tune. It's about accommodating your stand partner, your section, listening to each other. So in review, go slow. That's the number one practice tip that I can give, especially when you're playing with a drone. I'm sure there are many students out there that have teachers that tell them to play with a drone, and I'm sure there are many teachers that tell their students to play with a drone. And then the kid goes home and they turn their drone on and then they just play their scale very fast. You're not getting anything out of doing that, except that maybe you get to hear an interval every now and then, but you need to slow down so that you can actually hear what the drone, what your note sounds like with the drone, because then you're developing your aural sense of what those intervals sound like, your ability to adapt, and then you're training your hands to respond to your ears, which obviously is something that musicians need to be doing.